So I just bought a sewing machine. I don't really know how to sew at all, but Halloween's getting close, so I'm gonna try to use this to make my Halloween costume, which I'm trying to be Flynn Rider this year. So the hardest part is gonna be this vest. I've got some muslin, a new machine. We're gonna get started making some patterns, and then eventually I'll go back and get the material. Let's learn how to sew first. There's a bobbin cover. Oh, this is the bobbin cover. Oh, whoa! You have to turn it on to use the stuff. I think I can do this. We're gonna put that there. We gonna cut this one too. What? Look at that. Cool. Well, this is dope as hell. Another tool down. Not down, just starting to use. I'm a fan though. So this is a long way from a full vest, but I'm gonna keep doing some practice because muslin is very cheap and I can just do whatever I want with this. I'm gonna try to make the pattern today. So I'm gonna try to make a pattern and then a test vest today out of all the muslin before I even get to material, because that's much more expensive and I can go through as much of this as I want. So I made this little vest after cutting up that blazer, and what I'm gonna do is cut this up some more, make the pattern, and then use the pattern to make a muslin vest so I can try this out and make sure the pattern works. Now I'm gonna cut this up into 4 pieces. I have 2 front flaps for the front. I have another piece that goes up and over the shoulders, and I'll have a last piece for the back. I was afraid this wasn't going to be able to lay flat, and it won't. So we'll have to figure out something here. So thankfully in his costume he does have a seam along this line, so I'm going to cut there and then we'll be able to make a flat piece out of it. So now we have all the pieces we need. It's 5, not 4, because I had to cut the collar. But now I'm going to take this and convert it over to the pattern paper, and then we should be able to go from that to the muslin. Now I may cut this in half later so that it'll be exactly the same on both sides, but for now I'm going to keep it because I'm scared of cutting it in half right now. But collar's done. Look at that. I guess I should be able to wear this, kind of. Get a better sense of what this is going to look like. But yeah. Cool. Basically done. Is it Halloween? Boom. So I have my patterns, and what I'm going to do now is cut them out of the muslin, and then I'll start sewing them all together. I'm going to give myself 1/2 inch of seam allowance on each side. I hope that's enough, and let's get going. I have all my pieces cut out. It's actually time now to start sewing. Just gotta figure out what order I'm gonna do this all in, and just go for it. This is the practice one, so if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out, but this is where we learn how to do all the cool stuff. Let's do this. Oh, look at that. Yo, for a first try, oh, the collar's a little big. For a first attempt at never using a sewing machine to make this thing, oh, it's not even that bad. That's pretty good. Ho ho ho. Oh yeah, this is gonna work. Yeah. All these stencils are perfect. Stencils, patterns. Ah. Oh, this is gonna be great. Look at this. Oh man, yes. Okay, I'm gonna try to do these little arm flare things right now. We'll see how that works out. Didn't really have a stencil from the suit on that one. But the rest of this, I'm thinking is looking pretty good. I'm very proud of this. There we go. On one done, haha. So a few takeaways from this first try. Pins, very important in sewing. I did this without doing pins, and as you can see, a lot of the things moved around. So my center points aren't lined up, they're not even close. When I do this again, I'm probably gonna do maybe even a second muslin one, do it with pins, and make sure things line up at the end. The other thing is I missed a lot of the quilting that happens on the back, as well as the quilting on the front and the top of the collar. Gonna have to do that before I sew everything together, so that's gonna be fun. I may only do that on the last one, just because it's gonna take a long time. The collar turned out to be too tall. That's fine, because we can take away material easily. But everything else seems good. The length is good. The fit is pretty much perfect. And so, it's very good round one. Cool. Till next time. I don't know why I said that. It's gonna be like a cut for you. Just a simple... Got the fabric. I'm gonna start making first cuts here, but I gotta trace this out, give myself the seam allowance, make sure I'm getting a big enough piece here, and we'll be good to go. Excited, very nervous, but we'll see what happens. Just go for it, right? Yeah. See how much I can save here on all the sides. That looks good. Can you? Barely. Oh my God, that's light. Well, there's one. Okay, so I need to make one more of these stencils on this fabric for the back, as well as on this other part for the inside. Getting there. This is the inside for the collar, just to keep it propped up like Flynn's. I'm just going to do the exact same process like I did for this, but I'm not going to allow any seam allowance. I'm just going to cut along the line because it's supposed to fit inside. Something like that, I guess. That's not bad. Yeah, I'll be Flynn. Okay. So I just went through and I added all the vertical lines for like the quilting. And so I'm gonna run that through here after cutting this out real quick so I can get the pattern on the outside. And then we'll put this in the middle, we'll sew it together. I think there's one that runs along just the outside right here, like that, but we'll get there when we get there. We're not there yet. Start there, because why not? Can you even see that? I don't think so. It's very light. I'm gonna go through and sew this, and I'm gonna have to go slowly so I can change direction at the different corners. Hopefully get a nice curve on this. It'll be interesting. I'm ready, let's do it. I'm gonna sew it first, and I'm gonna put this in there to fill it in, and then I'll go through and pin it all together and I'll re-sew it. Fit this piece. Boom! Look at that. Ah! Alright, alright. That's a collar. See it? Yeah. Alright, so just got to do the other side and sew the little thing in it, and then this will be ready to go. Although I may not sew this right now, I may just sew it all together to the shoulder piece so I don't have two seams. So this should be good to go for now. But the quilting came through. I don't know if you can see it. On one side, that'll be the outside, and then it's not on the inside because that's not how the jet vest works. But yeah. It's the back. Oh, whoa. It's like that. I'm gonna make this guy, and then I'll have to draw in the lines once I get the piece cut out and match it up with the collar. And then we should be getting closer. So I just went through and I added the bottom stitching. So he's got this little like pattern along the bottom, and then this is the same double stitch that's used for the quilting. So right now what I got to do is find these stripes, draw them in with the chalk, and then just quilt it on the machine. It's that easy, just do that. I'm going to start by finding the center line, and then using the same distance I used on the collar, start to go across. On his jacket, there was no seam on the side here, so we had one giant piece of fabric go all the way around. That just doesn't make sense in the real world. And animation probably makes it easy. It'd just be too big. I'm sure I could have done it if I had noticed, but we're gonna do it like this, like a classic vest. Classic. And we'll go from there. But I'm very happy with how this stitching turned out for the bottom. Just gotta make sure I don't stitch on the wrong side after this. Should be easier than the collar because this is much easier shape. Have the hardware now for the rivets and the hooks that I have to do some painting on to make them look like the rest of the metal that I have, and I gotta bend them out to get it all to fit. So let's get started with that. First we're gonna get this paint going so it can dry while we do some of the sewing. Now this is the metal I want to match, and this is the metal I have now. This one's a lot more reflective than this. This has got like a weird greenish dark bronze, and this is just straight almost gold. So I have some spray paint that matches this color a little bit more, and I also have some black acrylic paint that I'm going to use to weather them down, make them a little bit more less shiny. It's probably the way to do it. So we are just going to go for it with all these. Get some light spray paint going. Okay, I'm very excited with how this turned out. Got to do the exact same thing on the other side to get the hooks. And we're getting pretty close to assembly here. After this piece and the hooks, I'll have to go through and add, there's a couple of belt loops right here. And then after the belt loops are on, it's full send. We got to put it together. And this is amazing. So I now have all the completed panels, and so what I'm going to do is start to assemble it in order. I have to do everything kind of backwards almost, but in the right way. I'm just trying to think a step ahead to make sure I'm sewing things in the right order so that it's easiest to do. And that feels nice and square. That feels about where it should be. These line up, which is nice, but these lines are a little bit off. What are you gonna do? See how this works? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I'm happy with that. You can kind of see the stitch in the middle, but I might like cut that out a little bit. But you could barely even, I don't think you could see it if you weren't looking for it. Oh, look at that. It's coming together. I can do this without poking myself now. Look at that. Then we're gonna put the back on, and once the back's on, I'm gonna put on the wings. Hey, that's a good wing. Oh, look at that. That's all it needs to do. And is the spacing? Perfect. Wow. Well, let's get the other wing on and keep. The spacing is perfect for those rivets. Oh, that's amazing. Awesome. Well, it's probably probably not stop here. Keep going. Look at that. Okay, so I have the vest done. It's now time to move on to the belt and a little satchel. So I have a couple pieces of leather already. I have this small piece, which is his first belt. Then I have a second wider piece that comes around, and it's the belt that drapes down a little bit like this, almost. So if that was together, maybe not that far, we'll figure it out. And then I also have this little piece that I'm going to have. This first part, it's not stained yet, so I have to get the decoration in it first. So I'm gonna put on the shirt and the vest, find the distance that I need. That's fine. It's not 3 inches below that. Oh wait, no, that's fine because this is a little bit higher. The other belt's gonna come like here-ish. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So let's hit it at that line and go from there. Because I've also never stained leather before. I'm not doing that in this outfit, so we'll go get some old clothes to do that with. Because that might get messy. Holding it together is going to be a weird thing. I'll go get like a nut or something. Hold it shut for a second. But we should punch this hole first. You can't really tell how Flynn's second buckle or belt is buckled. I think that was just an animated thing. Didn't need to show it because it doesn't bring anything to the movie. So I'm kind of going off script here. I was gonna get like a little plastic buckle or something, but it kind of felt out of universe and strange. So I got these little gold buttons, and the metals match. It'll look similar to the rest of the gold in here. I like that antique brass. But if someone sees it, then you know, it doesn't look like it was out of the universe and it's still part of the costume. And if someone had seen like a plastic buckle and like, oh, it would have broken it a little bit. I'm clearly stalling because I have to make this cut, but we gotta just go for it. Okay, and no, there's no turning back. And that'll be right there. Cool. And then it'll just have, I'm gonna cut a little curve in there, so when if you do see it, it still looks nice. For now, let's test to make sure. A little bit more off each side, I guess. I have the box, but also like I can't flip it inside out or right side out. And there's probably a few places I should hand sew this before I flip it. Ow. Ow. Well, that was inevitable. That was whack. That went through the paper, not the paper, the cloth. And with the dull end of the needle, went straight into my finger. And it hurts. Ow! So yesterday, put this together, and after I inverted it, it doesn't turn out, it comes out really bubbly in all things because of the seams. And I really just like how it looks in this form. But that does mean I'm gonna have to take it apart, cut all the seams out, and re-sew the entire thing, just the other direction. And that's gonna take a little bit of time, but you know, it's gonna get the right look, so it's gonna be okay. So, just gotta do that now. What are you gonna do? So after finishing this, it looks like I'm actually done sewing for a little bit, maybe entirely. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the leather for a little bit. I'm gonna cut out the pieces for on top of the boots, and then I'll do the scores for this and this at the same time, and then I'll stain everything at the end. So I'll have to stain this a different color. I have like a darker brown. I'll restain the satchel on these edges, as well as when I'm staining the belt. That way I just get all the staining out at once and I don't have to keep bringing the stain out and putting on gloves and getting all prepped for it. One thing that I've learned through all this is having a good pair of fabric-only scissors has been crucial to this project. I guess this really isn't fabric, but it's close enough, honestly. These scissors aren't really having a very hard time with it. Cool, I'm just gonna get one more. That one seems big enough. I think I should try this on with my foot. Not anymore on these things. Oh. Ah. No, small side down. Hey, dingus. Oh yeah, that's chilling. So last thing to do before we stain everything is to cut this belt and then put the etches in it. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure I have the connection to the belt loop good to go. So I'm going to have 2 strips with a little cutout in the middle that'll wrap back around them itself and then be riveted back. Basically going to cut. Oh, gotta sharpen that. There first. So now that I have that cut out, what I'm going to do is if I put this, so I know it's got to go this way and start like that, so these got to go up and over, and that'll get the start to the belt like that. That's how it's going to stay on. So I think that's actually good. So I have the square block thing to make sure this knife stays straight. I'm going to go through and spray it, and then get these nice strips down the side. Got the pattern all along the belt, and so I'm gonna put the vest back on, check this distance, find about where I want it to go, cut it, re-add the edge outline, and then stain everything. And we should should be getting close here. It's kind of fun. So maybe about there. That seems about right. Hangs down a little bit. Maybe this is closer to the front. That feels good. So it's right there. Cut it at that one. Oh, look at that. That's fancy. Fancy living. Now it's gonna go there and there. Yes. Oh, let's go. Oh, yeah. That is a Flynn Rider vest and belt. Complete. Okay, that's amazing. What? Oh, it's all come together. Look at that. Yes. So we got the belt, the vest, the shirt. Belt goes all the way around, does its thing, and then we have our shoes with these little leather covers, whatever the hell those do, protect his front ankle from attack. But the belt, all there to go. Look at this belt, the satchel's right there. Oh yeah, I could get used to this. This was one of my favorite things I've ever made. One of the hardest things I've ever done. I didn't use a sewing machine before October 5th. So it's only been a couple of weeks and I've put this together, and I've learned an insane amount about sewing. This is, I can't even stop, I can't stop smiling, this is amazing. Yeah, I guess the hardest part was the satchel, because that drove me crazy. I never worked with leather before, especially trying to put leather through a machine. This machine was a champion. It went through and was able to sew the 2 pieces of leather no problem. Just was being held back by my skill set. Other than that, putting the collar on was pretty tough. Getting the collar to the back was rough. But everything else, you just gotta figure out along the way. It was amazing. There were times where I was like, what am I doing? This is an insane amount of work to do for a Halloween costume. But I could not be more proud with how this turned out. Look at this thing. It looks like it's straight out of the movie. Boom. Yes. All right, there we go. Time to go get some candy and have a good Halloween.